Okay, so here we are live once again, and we got another unboxing video for you. Why do I seem off a little bit? Where's the cam? There's the camera. Am I am I reversed? Why am I reversed again? Let me see. No, I'm facing the right way. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not looking at the camera, even though I'm looking at the camera. It's just weird. Something's off about this. Do I usually have it facing the other way? Let's try that. Maybe I'll be more comfortable facing this way. No, that doesn't seem to be doing it either. I don't know what it is. Hmm. Okay, so anyway, we got another G.I. Joe classified figure to open up for you today. And this is Crystal Ball. Richard Crystal Ball King. Bobby Wald is here, and he said, "Video looked great to me." Well, that's good. That's nice. It's looking great to you out there watching it. It's probably more important that it looked good to you out there watching it than me sitting here at home making it. But yeah, I got this guy, and the original figure was just called Crystal Ball. And I was looking at the file card, and it doesn't say anything about like a file name or anything on the original file card. So so yeah, Richard King is a name that they made up for him for this figure, I guess. But those of you who are familiar with the history of this character, you can probably guess why they decided to name him Richard King. See, like back in the 1980s, Stephen King was like, still is probably one of the biggest, authors in the world. He was the yeah, he wrote the file card. That's the rumors that he wrote the file card, and frankly, I believe that to be true. But yeah, so Stephen King was like one of the hottest authors in the world at that time, and still is probably like one of the biggest authors in the entire world, and probably the most famous horror writer, to be specific. So and he had a son named Owen, who, like a lot of kids, in the 1980s, was a big fan of GI Joe, and he wrote in a letter to Hasbro saying that Cobra should have a wizard. And, and I guess the people at Hasbro, being huge Stephen King fans, decided, hey, yeah, maybe we can get something out of this. And not only did they create a wizard character for Cobra, but they also created another GI Joe character named Sneak Peek, who was named after Owen King. And his file card, his real name was Owen King, and he was born in Bangor, Maine, which is where Stephen King is from. So when they named this guy, they named him Richard King. And like I said, there wasn't a file name for him on the original card, so they can name him whatever they want. King obviously comes from Stephen King. Richard, anybody who's a fan of Stephen King knows is that Stephen King wrote a lot of books under the pen name of Richard Bachman. So he's named after Stephen King in both of his pseudonyms, because his actual real name isn't King. His father's last name wasn't King anyway. His father, I think, changed his last name to King. So I don't know if that actually is Stephen King. If Stephen King is his legal name, he might have changed it at some point. I don't know, or his father might have legally changed it, and he might have been born as Stephen King. I honestly don't know. I don't remember, but I do know at the very least that his father, his original last name wasn't King, and he'd taken the name King. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and real quick. I actually pulled up Crystal Ball's file card here because I want to talk about that for a little bit. So we can actually read the file card that was allegedly written by Stephen King, and I believe it was written by Stephen King. But here we go. Code name Crystal Ball, Cobra Hypnotist, born of a Romanian father who supposedly had second sight, and an American mother from Bangor, Maine. An American mother from Bangor, Maine. Remember that. We're going to come back to that. Crystal Ball actually was the seventh son of a seventh son, ... and such men the gypsies of old believed, we call them Romani now, but this was the 80s, uh, were possessed of supernatural powers that may or may not be true, but Crystal Ball can sometimes read minds, making him a unique addition to the Cobra forces, especially as an interrogator for captured Joes. Cobra doesn't use torture to interrogate their prisoners. When Crystal Ball is having one of his good days, they simply don't need to. When Crystal Ball is around, yeah, don't that's yeah, YA. Yeah, don't just have to watch what you're saying, you also have to watch what you're thinking. That's saying and thinking both with apostrophes at the end. Now, this file card, no matter who wrote it, it obviously was not a file card that was written by Larry Hama. This is not his writing style at all. I've read enough Larry Hama file cards. I've read enough Larry Hama comic books. I've read Larry Hama prose fiction. I know the man's writing style. It's not that. So is it actually written by Stephen King? I lean towards it is. The other rumor was that Owen King wrote the file card, but considering how he was just a kid at the time, this does seem a bit more. Maybe if he'd written it now, I could believe it. But in the 80s, this was written by an adult, and it definitely seems to me like it has some of the quirks of Stephen King's writing. So I think it's a Stephen King written file card, certainly. But let's go back to his origins here. And it says an American mother from Bangor, Maine. And if we look over at Sneak Peek's file card, Owen King is from Bangor, Maine. So this is my question to you: is Crystal Ball at all related to Mr. Owen King of Bangor, Maine? Both these guys have the last name King. Both of them are from Bangor, Maine. You know, maybe Sneak Peek has a little bit of a second sight himself, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's just stuff I've been thinking about because I was reading the file cards in preparation for this. But yeah, this is a guy. This is a perfect guy to open up for October. This is a perfect guy to be our Halloween GI Joe figure because he certainly has some horror cred to him. He's got that Stephen King connection. And how many action figures like can you think of that are are basically created by Stephen King, pretty much, you know? So not many. I mean, like, sure, there's probably some action figures based off of like characters from his books. I know like Pennywise has had some action figures, and there's been action figures of other characters from Stephen King books. I'd love to have a Silver Bullet werewolf figure, like either from the movie or based off of Bernie Wrightson's artwork. I think either way that would be cool. So he's got a lot of cool accessories that he comes with, and we're gonna talk about those. Let me move some of these figures around. I gotta get these out. So these are actually clipped. Oh, this is unusual. Clipped into the liner in the back of the package. He's got a couple of accessories here. And if you had the original Crystal Ball figure back in the 80s, this was the only figure that came with it. This is the only accessory that came with him was like this lenticular shield. And it seems to me like it doesn't really so much move. It does move a little bit, like the snake kind of moves around a little bit, but it almost like it's more like it's sort of pulsing. So the other one was just kind of like an abstract, like optical illusion type of thing. Bobby Wald says, "Did you get a chance to look at the Ghost Viper that goes with Crystal Ball?" Yeah, I've seen the figure. Like I think you said that goes up like what on the 11th? Is that when you said that goes up? So yeah, is that an exclusive anywhere, or is that one I can pretty much just get anywhere? Because I might just try to get it on like Big Bad Toy Store. That's where I usually pre-order most of my GI Joes at. And then there's this piece, which I think is supposed to be like a hologram type piece, and it's green and it's sculpted to look like the design that's on the shield, and you can clamp that into the shield. But yeah, originally the original figure, all he came with was this sort of hypnotist shield. There we go. And I like honestly, I kind of felt like the original The original figure was kind of a knockoff of Dr. Mindbender in a weird sort of way. Like if Dr. Mindbender hadn't already existed, I probably would have liked Crystal Ball a lot better. But and he was sculpted a little like Vincent Price, which was pretty cool. But you know, anyway, so we got this an actual crystal ball, and it's got like a little translucent. I think it's a skull. Is it a translucent skull in there? And like some kind of serpent tails or tentacles or something around it that's nasty. And then he's got an extra head, which looks like Cthulhu, and that's pretty cool. I like that. And it's that clear, translucent plastic, but you can see it looks like Cthulhu, but with like some goat horns on there. And they did paint in like he's got like a little red gem on his forehead and black around the eyes and the nose, and then just tentacles coming down where the teeth ought to be. And then he's got a sword, again, keeping with the translucent theme. Since he's a hypnotist, I got to imagine that a lot of this stuff is like illusion. Like he doesn't literally have a green flaming sword or a horny Cthulhu head or literally have a skull and snakes coming out of his shield. But it's like an illusion that he's projecting with his hypnosis. Uh, Bobby Wald says play some Walmart exclusive, so it's probably going to be all over the Walmart stores down the road like Crystal Ball right now. Okay. Well, then I won't be too worried about it, but I probably will still try to order it from Walmart if I can, just because that'll make it easier for me. But if not, I won't worry about it too much. I'll just find it in the store. And honestly, like Crystal Ball is one that I never really considered him to be like an absolutely essential character. I mean, I'm glad to have him, but like he's not one of my core Cobra guys. He was never in the comic book, and I don't remember ever seeing him on any of the cartoons. I don't think he was in the DIC cartoons. He certainly wasn't in the Sunbow cartoons. He would have been, I think, just a little too late for that. So I don't remember him as a character in like any media at all. I think he was in one issue of GI Joe Special Missions, and that was it. And then like he's been in some of the more recent Larry Hama GI Joe comics, and he's been in some. He was in the IDW GI Joe, like their reboot GI Joe series, and they redesigned him in that to look kind of more like Rasputin, which I thought was really cool. And that's how it's pronounced, Rasputin. It's not Rasputin, it's Rasputin. Christopher Lee said so, and I believe Christopher Lee because Christopher Lee's led such an awesome life. He probably fucking met Rasputin at some point. Pardon my French. Earth Dude is here, and he says, "We Cobra," and he says, "Ayo" to Bobby Wald, and cheers to Alan Belt. Well, cheers right back at you, sir. Always good to see you. So yeah, I have made a few customs of Crystal Ball because I like making custom figures, and he's one that like oftentimes I don't expect to see. I actually did make a classified Crystal Ball at some point with printed parts from Donovan Art Collectibles, and it turned out pretty cool. I think mine is actually more accurate to the original toy than this one is. This one took some liberties. So first of all, he's got like a longer jacket, and he doesn't quite look as much like Vincent Price anymore because they changed up his hair some. His hair looks a little more like Elvis or something, but with some gray in it. So, and then he's got some funky Alice Cooper type makeup. So my friend Bobby Blank, who I've known since high school, he said that he oftentimes had Crystal Ball hanging out with the Dreadnoks because he thought he fit in visually with them. And looking at him, I'm going to say I have to agree. Like especially this version, I could definitely see this guy hanging out with the Dreadnoks. Hell, I could see him exchanging like makeup tips with Zartan since they have that sort of Alice Cooper thing going on there. So the long coat is cool. That's not something that would have been possible with the original figure. He's still got that same furry collar. He's still got this same funky design on his chest that I really like. It's painted on there in gold. This I believe is the same torso as Tomax and Zaymot, which is what I used also. And then he's got this triangular sort of belt buckle with the Eye of Osiris on it. So he's got like a lot of cool occult details to him. Like he's got sigils tattooed on his arms because they go crazy with the tattoos on these new figures. Earthu said, "Does he have the Hypno shield?" Oh yeah, he does. I was showing that off earlier, but I'll show it again in a second. But he's got like a sun and a moon on there, so lots of cool stuff. And this glove has claws on it, and he's got an alternate hand which is a little more open, so you can kind of see the claws a little bit better on that one. Just one glove, and then he's got some rings over on the other hand. Very cool. Uh, these seem to be pretty standard, you know, gray sort of military pants with pockets on them. I don't remember if these are legs that were used with any of the previous figures or not, but they probably were. And then he's got a holster over here to hold his 6-shooter. And this is an interesting gun because it's not just like an ordinary sidearm. It's got like this sort of gold snake sort of molded around the barrel. Let me see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. But yeah, it's like a gold snake molded around the barrel. And it almost seems to me like there's some kind of like mystical black magic significance to this. So let's go ahead and put the gun in his hand and see what it looks like while he's holding that. And the original Crystal Ball did have a gun molded onto his leg. He didn't actually come with a gun though, but it was just kind of like one of those gun holsters that was molded onto his leg. So one of the things that when I was making my custom figures uh, is that since it was 25th anniversary and uh, you know classified as by this point the characters had working holsters, so I was actually able for both of those to give him like working guns and holsters. I mean like working guns that could go into the holsters, not that they could actually shoot, because that would be some impressive customizing even for me. But man, I like the coat. There's a lot of good detail to it. You can see there's a lot of like quilted padding, a lot of belts, a lot of pouches and pockets and things like that. So a lot of good detail to him. He's got the same sort of. This one is very similar, I think, to the forearm guard again in the original figure. He's got bracers on either hand. This one's probably more like a gauntlet, like an extender to the glove, but this one is more of a bracer. So and he's got his eyes are like really weird. They're almost kind of reptilian. Let me see if I can get that to focus a little better. His eyes are sort of reptilian, and he's got like actual fangs. So I'm not sure if that's like makeup effects that he's wearing, or if he's it's a result of the hypnosis. Like whoever he's hypnotizing him is seeing him in like a more monstrous way. But speaking of more monstrous ways to view this guy, actually, I think the gun's supposed to go in here backwards. It seems to me like, yeah, the holster is facing, so that you actually have the gun facing in the opposite direction, which is interesting choice. And even the holster itself, they probably could have just reused Wild Bill's holster or something like that because he had a 6-shooter, but it's got like the Eye of Osiris kind of tamped into the leather and all this kind of like sort of Celtic sort of lace work in there. Earthdude says, "I took a pass on the classifieds. Totally regret that. I'm just stuck in in the 3 3/4 scale." Hey, I don't blame you for that at all. Like to me, I've said before, like GI Joe, the natural format of at least the Real American Hero GI Joe, the natural format to me is 3 3/4 inch. So I can't blame anybody for wanting to be loyal to that. But and I wish they were still doing like 3 3/4 inch GI Joes. Honestly, like maybe not instead of, but certainly in addition to. So speaking of making them look more monstrous, oh, and be careful when you take the head off, because these necklaces are like separate pieces. You don't want them to come flying off when you pop off his head. So we can pop this Cthulhu looking head onto him. And like I said, this is probably like, when he's hypnotizing people, just makes himself look more frightening and grotesque. But yeah, like I think as I'm looking at it, it looks like a skull-like head with tentacles coming out the bottom. And like I said, it's kind of like Cthulhu, and just want to pop on all the way. Have to really pop it on. And then it's got these sort of goat horns on there, very creepy looking. So let's go ahead and I just popped one of the horns off. It looks like it just kind of pegs in. Maybe they just have it glued in there very tightly, or have it glued in there at all. Is this one going to come out? Yeah, I think they probably just didn't use too much glue on this one. But thankfully, it's still got the peg on there, so it'll just pop right back in. But I'll want to be careful about that for now because I don't want to lose it. So I'll probably glue it on there later. And what was I saying about the necklaces? I already lost the necklaces. Ah, dang it. Oh, please tell me they stuck underneath the head on this. No, no. Oh, well, I'll find them later. I'll find them before I do the thumbnail. But for now, we'll be fine. And we can get a better look at the tattoo on his chest because he's got tattooing on his chest. It's all over the place. Uh, let's see. Dominic is here, and he says, I bought something great today. The Hot Wheels 2009 first edition Ecto 1 mainline. That's odd. That is awesome. Yeah, I've probably still got that somewhere. I know that when that came out, I had one that I bought, and I had it on my shelf at work. So it might be still packed up with all the stuff that I have from work. But I don't know. I lost a bunch of stuff when my apartment flooded one time. So that might have been one of the things, but I hope not. Man, where did those necklaces go? I hope I can find it. Here's one of them. It fell in this bag that I had down here. I'll just have to see if I can find the other one later. Man, and I was just telling you guys to be careful about that. I should learn to heed my own advice. So I have no idea where the other necklace went. I'll just have to find it once I'm finished with this. So Earth Dude was asking about the Hypno Shield, and I haven't had a chance to go back to it again. But yeah, here's the Hypno Shield again. And like I said, rather than sort of abstract kind of op art pattern that was on there, this is something a little more direct with the skulls and the snakes, and it looks like yeah, like just a bunch of creepy stuff like the skull with the snakes crawling in and out of its eyeballs. Dominic says sure, the first edition Ecto 1 might not be the most detailed version compared to the retro entertainment one, but it's still cool nonetheless. Like I said, it's the one that I had, so I was happy with it. So I think that was the first time I'd ever seen any kind of like Hot Wheels type car. I don't think they even did one back in the 80s, but it was the first time I'd seen like a Hot Wheels type car of any kind. Back in the 80s, there were lots of different toy companies that could potentially license like a die-cast toy, like the Hot Wheels General Lee and the Hot Wheels Batmobile that I had were not actually Hot Wheels. I think Ertl made those, but they were still cool. I still really liked them. But anyway, so let's see. We got more accessories. Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and put the shield in his hand, and we can see what that looks like. So he's got like a handle, and it seems like it's kind of spindly, so I'm being careful with it. And then there's this strap that's kind of split in the middle, so it can kind of clip around his forearm. You know, not too dissimilar from how He-Man's shield works. But there he is actually holding the shield. And then we got a couple more accessories. I don't think he can hold this in this hand. Maybe it can be held in the more open hand, the crystal ball. But at the very least, you could kind of balance it on this hand if you wanted to display him holding it. That'd probably be the best way to do it. And then the sword, I think, is really nice. And it's like this big scimitar type sword. And like I said, it's molded in the translucent green plastic, so it looks like the blade is glowing and it has that green flame sculpted onto it. So that looks really cool. I like that. I like that look. So anywho, going to take those off and we'll talk about his articulation for a little bit. All right, so Crystal Ball can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt its head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, but they're going to kind of bump into the flared shoulders of the jacket a little bit. That is to be expected. The arms, they seem like they're pretty much stuck in place, but they also have these breastplates. They also have these shoulder plates that are glued onto them. So I think they're only going to move up to the side about that far. I think that's about as far as they move. And then he's got a bicep, so the little bicep rotates all around. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. Oh yeah, I didn't notice this. This little kind of metallic green gem that's sculpted on there. That's really nice. And then wrists rotate all the way around. And this one has a vertical hinge to it. Goes up about that far, goes down about that far. And this one also looks like it has a vertical hinge to it. Goes down about that far, goes up about that far. He's got an ab crunch, so he can bend forward about that far. He can bend back about that far, but the jacket is going to kind of push him back forward again. So, and then he can rotate all the way around at the waist. And these classified waists, they're kind of set up almost like a vintage O-ring waist, but without the O-ring. It's on a ball and a socket, so you can still move from side to side and back and forth a little bit at the waist, but not as much as like a classic O-ring would. But it's kind of similar to that. Crystal Ball can kick up all the way like that. Wow, that is impressive. He does have that cool drop down articulation at the hip that GI Joe classified figures tend to have, so that helps out with that. He can do the splits no problem, even with the pistol in its holster like that. Again, the drop down hips really help out with that. He's got a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. Oops, we're getting ahead of ourselves with the boot cut there. He's got a double jointed knee. That's about the range of motion you get at the knee. And then he does have a boot cut. Boot rotates all the way around. And then the ankle articulation, the ankle rotates all the way around when the ankle meets the foot. Foot can point down about that far. Foot can point up about that far. And that's it. That's all his articulation. So pretty typical GI Joe classified articulation. No real surprises here. But they did do a good job with him. So Crystal Ball is a really impressive looking figure, and I would highly recommend that you pick him up if you get a chance to. Now, I know Crystal Ball is a character that gets a lot of ridicule in the GI Joe fan community for a lot of reasons, but that doesn't mean that he's not like a cool character that you could get to fit into your GI Joe reality. Now, while I don't believe that Larry Hama wrote the file card, while I am of the school of thought that it was Stephen King that wrote the file card, I do suspect that Larry Hama would have been the guy who would have said, wizards don't really fit in with G.I. Joe. It's supposed to be like a more realistic thing, maybe make him like a hypnotist or something. And I kind of feel like when you make him a hypnotist, then you can do a lot of things that make him a wizard, at least as far as like the aesthetic goes, or he can do certain things to simulate having mystical powers. So it's close enough to being a wizard without actually being a wizard. And Dominic says Hot Wheels needs to make the acid destroyed kit from Junkyard Dog. Dude, like I've actually got the Hot Wheels kit around here somewhere. I think I have it around here somewhere actually. I think it's in this little bag, maybe. No, that's something else. I had a bag over here that had a couple of Hot Wheels cars that I picked up, fancier Hot Wheels cars that I picked up recently, because I was intending on putting them on the wall back here, but I haven't gotten around to it. I don't guess it is on the couch right now. Maybe I did something else with it. I don't know. I'll find it later. But I had Kit, and I had the Batman Forever Batmobile that were like in the fancier packaging. So then they cost me a little bit more than your standard $1 Hot Wheels vehicle. But yeah, any kind of Knight Rider though, they can make car. I would love to have car, but yeah, like anything like that, I would pick up. But yeah, he's definitely a cool looking figure, and I think like even if you didn't want to use him as like a wizard or a hypnotist, like I said, he'd probably fit in as like an extra dreadnought if you wanted to. I'm surprised I never thought of that when I was a kid, but like I said, my friend Bobby Blank thought of it, so kudos to him for that. I'm gonna put this necklace back on him before I lose it again, and I'm gonna try to find the other necklace after I finish up this video and before I do the thumbnail. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I I'm not sure what I'm going to open up next because I know I want to do some more Halloween stuff, and I got a few things over here that I can open up that I think would be cool to do. Finally, I've got let's see, we got Creature from the Black Lagoon. I've got the Mummy figure that I bought a while back that I still need to open up. Where is he? He was just down here. Yeah, this guy. I still need to open up this guy. I've got more stuff on the way. Got the glow in the dark Phantom of the Opera. I've got the Migo Nosferatu figure. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming. So for spooky season, and I'm probably gonna do some more stuff in between. Also, like I know I've got more Masterverse to open up. I got a lot more GI Joe to open up, but I'm probably gonna wait a little bit on the GI Joe just because I've got the Sergeant Slaughter 2-pack with Mercer. I've got that on the way, so I probably want to wait till I get all that opened. If you want to make sure you don't miss any of this stuff, make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Crystal Ball. And let me know in the comments who you think wrote the file card. I think most people at this point believe it was Stephen King. I've never seen any kind of like official confirmation of that, but I am of the opinion that it was Stephen King. Like you know, until I see some kind of official confirmation that somebody else wrote it, I'm gonna say it's Stephen King. But that's it for this episode. Please make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so make sure that you like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I like it when you leave comments. YouTube likes it when you leave comments too, but I like it more than they do. You know, I like it when you like and subscribe. I like it when you leave comments. YouTube likes it when you like and subscribe. YouTube likes it when you leave comments, but I think they like the like and subscribe slightly more than I do, and I like the comments slightly more than they do. I suspect that that's the case anyway. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.